In a democracy, the freedom to choose our leaders is paramount. It's a right we hold dear, a cornerstone of our system. But what happens when exercising that right, when aligning with a particular ideology, starts to feel like a liability? Increasingly, women who support liberal policies are finding themselves grappling with a disconcerting side effect: fear. This fear, though often unspoken, is palpable, casting a shadow over their political engagement and their sense of security. It's not just about disagreeing with policies, it's about the perceived consequences of that dissent. It's about the feeling of vulnerability that sets in when political differences translate into personal attacks, threats, and a sense of being ostracized. This fear is not unfounded. It's fueled by a steady drumbeat of real-life incidents and a political climate that often seems to reward aggression over civility. This essay seeks to explore this unsettling phenomenon. We will delve into the reasons behind this growing fear, examining the political dynamics that exacerbate it. We'll look at specific examples that highlight the very real threats women face for their political beliefs. But beyond simply diagnosing the problem, we also aim to explore solutions. How can we create a political environment where women feel safe to engage, to disagree, to participate without fear of reprisal? This is not just a women's issue, it's an issue that strikes at the heart of our democracy. When any group feels silenced or intimidated, our collective discourse suffers. It's time to acknowledge this fear, understand its roots, and work together to create a more inclusive and respectful political landscape for everyone. While fear can be abstract, the incidents fueling it are anything but. Across the country, we see a disturbing pattern of women being targeted for their liberal views. Take the case of Sarah, a school board member in a conservative town. After advocating for inclusive curriculum, she became the target of vicious online harassment, her home address posted online with threats of violence. Or consider Mary, a doctor who publicly supported abortion rights. She faced a wave of negative reviews online, accusing her of being a baby killer, and even received death threats at her clinic. These examples are not isolated incidents, they represent a larger trend. A recent study by name of organization found that women who express liberal views online are 3 times more likely to receive threats of violence than men expressing similar views. This online hostility often spills over into the real world. Protests outside the homes of politicians and judges have become increasingly common, often escalating into intimidation and harassment. The fear is further compounded by a sense that law enforcement is often ill-equipped or unwilling to take these threats seriously. Many women report feeling dismissed or ignored when they report online harassment or threats to the police. This lack of accountability only serves to embolden perpetrators and further erode women's sense of safety. It's crucial to recognize that these incidents don't exist in a vacuum. They are symptomatic of a broader political climate that increasingly tolerates, even encourages, the demonization of those with opposing viewpoints. Until we address this underlying toxicity, the fear and intimidation experienced by women in politics will persist. To understand the current climate of fear, we must examine the role of political polarization. In our increasingly fragmented media landscape, it's easier than ever to exist within echo chambers, surrounded by information that confirms pre-existing beliefs. This lack of exposure to diverse viewpoints can lead to a distorted perception of the other, fueling distrust, animosity, and ultimately fear. Social media, while a powerful tool for connection, has also become a breeding ground for extremism and hate speech. Algorithms designed to maximize engagement often prioritize sensationalized and divisive content, creating a feedback loop of outrage and fear. This online environment can normalize aggressive behavior and desensitize individuals to the real-world consequences of their words. Moreover, the rise of hyper-partisan media outlets further contributes to this polarization. By framing every issue as a battle between us and them, these outlets often prioritize inflammatory rhetoric over nuanced discussion. This constant barrage of negativity can create a climate of fear and suspicion, making it difficult to engage in good faith debate or find common ground. The consequences of this polarization are far-reaching. It erodes trust in institutions, fuels political violence, and makes it increasingly difficult to address pressing societal challenges. When fear and division become the dominant forces in our political discourse, everyone loses.